betrayed the Sharif, the heir to Muhammad, you know, not just the Hijaz, you know, which was Mecca and Medina, but also Syria and Iraq as a united Arab kingdom with its capital at Damascus. This is the whole story of the betrayal behind the story of Lawrence of Arabia. All right, so people don't know this really. You know that's what happened. That these a united Arabia, which would have been a great power like India, and India is a great power. It's now with capital G. If we don't call them superpowers, but yeah, it's a mega power. I think like with China, they're beyond superpower. They're so massive, it's like the banks that are too big to fail. So this gets back to France. So France is demanding this. The banks that are too big to fail need to be broken up. And what's Deutsche Bank doing anyway? You know, laundering money for the Trumps and helping out the Russian dirt. What's that? What's up with that? What else is going on in the financial world? Now, I'll tell you what a Sultan would do. What the Ottoman Sultan did do. And there's a book by Philip Mansell with a single L, S-E-L, called Constantinople, City of the World's Desire. It's a fascinating read. But in there, of everything that's in there, there's the different times that the Ottoman financial, banking, and economic system, well, basically, you know, he could order somebody to order the guy's head off because it was his responsibility. But yeah, he would execute a few bankers and maybe a cabinet minister or two. Wipe away the debt. Wipe away the debt for the sake of the people of the empire. Yeah, sultans could be good men, okay? And even in the age of the sultanas, you know, there's a whole age where the women were in control. Even they did that. Well, no, I think they got rescued out of that because somebody had to execute the Grand Vizier. But they had a lot of capable bankers, but things got out of control several times, and so those responsible died, and debts were wiped, and everybody started over again. Well, this is kind of what France is talking about. When I'm talking France now, I don't mean Emmanuel Macron. I mean the people of France. Yeah, people of France, Arab France. And Macron has forgotten this. He has thought that he could bully them. And like Louis XVI, who didn't have the forces to bully them because the troops were also on the side of the people. It's not going to be a massacre. It's going to be something much different. But there's going to be a lot of wealthy French people in exile who may be impoverished. You know, because I think it's coming to the point where, shall we say, the palaces are going to be ransacked, but really they're false. The problem is the international financial system will try and choke off France just the way the media is trying to choke off France, and just the way that the financial system will try and choke off. Had British Columbia voted for proportional representation and a green government come, which is why it was made to fail, the British Columbia referendum. And I'm not surprised. I live in modern North America. I know how things are run here, and I know the history of this province. I've fought hard, but I've found out what's true about this place, and it's disturbing about British Columbia. So it does make me want to leave. I don't like being around what I see. I won't like that anywhere in the world, but the world is a much more interesting place, you know. And there are things that interest me that are worth seeing and finding out and telling people about, you know, that I've told you about already, like Haran, you know, and the Thracian civilization, you know, giraffes, Guge. I don't think I'll go to Guge, but, you know, the places that I feel powerful, you know, Spain, I want to go back to, Ireland, you know, Norway, you know, look for my grandfather's family in Mandal, you know, and do a show of his photos there and learn more about him there. And in Philippines, hopefully with Dr. Jose Ricardo, I think it is, or Ricardo Jose, I think Ricardo Jose, at the University of Philippines, who I'm in contact with. Haven't heard back from him lately, but he did like the photos. But other aspects of that, but my problem is I can do 20, 30, 40 projects at once, and I have to start doing the one. So I know that I have to do things like as I did with the piano, I had to work on it for days, same with my song transcriptions. There's a lot of work for this old man to do before he goes. Now, thankfully, I know in my heart that, and for other reasons, that I will see many more years yet. I'm meant to see them. I'm meant to be here as an eyewitness. So the truth sayer is a term that I've thought of using as a channel title. I haven't thought about that, confirmed that yet. Michael the Wanderer. You know, my medieval name in the Society for Creative Anachronism, one of them was Maris the Wanderer. But I am Michael. I'm Mike. And I used to joke that, you know, only the authorities and my mother call me Michael, but she did name me Michael, and Mike is the short form, and everybody, goddamn, everybody's named Mike, you know? Like, you don't understand. It's like being John. You call out John in a room, and everybody turns their head. Same kind of thing with Mike, right? But you don't, it doesn't sound like that common name, but in my birth year, everybody knows, they can look me up, who wants to know, Mike was the most common name. Michael was the most common name. But this character that's come out of me when it's Christmas season and I'm being some magic elf, you know, calling on that side of me that understands the ancient ages, you know, the ancient traditions, you know. So I'm Santa's cousin, Alfie. And I was, when I went to McGill, I tried to use Alf for a while. Everybody started calling me Alfie, but I was trying to use Alfred, you know, but no, I went back to being Mike, I guess. Alfie. And then I got called Fizzer as a bartender. I've had all kinds of nicknames. Squatch. So it's interesting, by the way, about the Squatch thing, being Bigfoot with the size 15 too, right? And my affinity for the stories of the giants and the sons of the earth and the sky who live in the mountains here, who are older than us and will outlive us, maybe, and are good at hiding from us, because they don't like us. Right. Anyway, I won't go on about the brothers in the mountains, right? But the scooter that the guy's bringing back for me to test in a few days is called a Yeti. So I get to drive a Yeti. Oh, geez. Well, the humor is just too much for me to handle. And my quippiness gets dangerous, right? If I allow myself to quip too much, just as I start to rhyme, if I let myself rhyme, if I let myself talking in time, it tells things that I don't want to have to talk about, you know. And like I say, it's Holy Yule, you know. And today, Jackson Crawford, thank you for teaching me this, right? About why the pork roast on or the ham on I guess ham saves better, right? In the ancient world, they probably had good ham in Scandinavia and the North world, Germany, and Wales, where Wales the pig is kind of sacred in the Mabinogion, you know. But yeah, so it was a sacrifice to Freyr, he called it in Old Norse, as I've always said Freyr, I guess it's modern Icelandic, I don't know. I don't know how to say it. Freyr is, Dr. Crawford calls it. Him, you know, he's the son of the god of the sea, and so on. So it was a sacrifice to Freyr, and it was it was only men when they sacrificed the pig. Right, and then everybody in the room would be spattered with blood. All the men would be spattered with blood from the pig, and then they'd roast it, and they'd all get drunk and start telling stories and poems. This was Yule. Now, other things happened when you gathered around the Jarl, you know, or the Tane, or whatever you had, right? And they'd beat their shield. Yule, they call it. Yule would have been. In Old Norse, Yule. But I mean, we don't really know about pagan rites. You know, we don't really know. Nothing's written down. It was only Christian descendants that writ them down several generations later. But the oral traditions are really strong, and they do stretch all the way back into like the late Roman world when the Volsunga saga begins, or an Englinga saga. You know, which is another book like the Snorri Edda, which is what I call the Prose Edda. I have some interesting comments on the foundation of the world, which I'll do a separate story on the relations between the gods and the giants. That's the kind of other thing I want to talk about, the politics, is like the ancient politics of the mythology. You know, Dr. Crawford also sees what I see, that these are real histories, you know, and I have things to say about all that, about the Eddas and other works like the Mahabharata, which now is considered to be a literal story of what happened on the Indus and the Saraswati, and the sinking of the Dwarka, however it's pronounced in Hindi or whatever the language is, Sanskrit, however I should be pronouncing it. Sanskrit's a challenging language. I had a book once. I wasn't capable of it, you know, partly because you learn core Hinduism, Buddhism from the very start, because the core concepts are what they teach. The sounds, Om, to make the Om probably, you know. And ancient Greek would be like that too. To actually speak it as the ancient Greeks spoke it would be difficult. But you know, the thing about this is a closing thing again. I keep on saying. I read Kenneth Clark's Another Part of the Wood, which is a very, very good autobiography, and his recounting of his life among the art world in Italy and France, at the dinners they had and who was at them, and all the amazing young men who died in the trenches of World War One, who was the rugby captain of Oxford or something like this one guy. He was completely fluent in both classical languages and maybe Old Norse too, but anyway, in Greek he could wing poems, jokes and stuff like that in ancient Greek well, right? And they could perform the plays, these guys. They could go and do the Agamemnon in the original language, Some of them know all those lines by heart. They memorize the Iliad, some of them just like the ancient Greek guys did, And that's the thing about Greek civilization. It was founded on people who were not literate, ready to be literate, but the memories were strong. And so the Iliad and the Odyssey were what amounted to high school basic education and high school education, the way that people used to read the Bible back to back and know it by chapter and verse and know which chapter and verse, but they didn't number the Iliad and the Odyssey. They just know the couplets and the quatrain, whatever the forms are. The same with the poetry of Pindar, right? That we only know it because somebody wrote it down. Same with Hesiod. We only know it because somebody wrote it down. We don't have any Heraclitus. So this gets back to that thing about the library at Monastiraki. What we don't know about Greece yet, right? What we don't know about Greece alone, because we don't have the people that translate the language materials. Or like with Thrace and Geras, where they're struggling to decode. Same with the Indus, they're struggling to decode the language. There's all kinds of what will amount to documents once they've found that, or materials letting us know what happened. And there's the lost history of Berassus, which I thought I was going to be able to ask my friend in the Masons, that, because I thought he'd gone and gotten it, because I told him about it. I'd had it from Bond's books. I thought he'd seen it, but maybe he didn't take it that day. I had to take it back to Richie Bond. So I'll ask Don Stewart in the Clowns. You see, I know a lot of people in the antiquarian community. What happened to this book? Because this book was like this thick, like it was a thick book, like that, leather bound, really nice, and it was Berassus, and you always see Berassus. No, this was printed with the Latin version of the name, and it was a big book, and it was a Masonic publication, so I wasn't meant to see it. I didn't have any money to buy it. It's not probably accessible to me now, unless maybe Don Stewart might have it, but he would know who to sell it to. I'll ask him what happened to it. Maybe he knows. And I'm going to ask Don also about to keep an eye out for my grandfather's documents and also the other photo album that are out there. He'll know who to talk to. So, I'm a recovering ancient history. I'm recovering my own family history. I'm trying to decipher the politic of the world and the farce that is called Confederation, as I called it in a Facebook post today. Farce that is Confederation and its pretense to a democracy. Our colonial system of democracy denies us actual democracy. It's meant to. It's meant to serve the interests of the colonialist extraction economy. So now we even have the new premier of Prince Edward Island, which has the population of North Vancouver's district of North Vancouver and the city of Vancouver, in power with 30% of the vote, saying that the other provinces, we've got to get rid of equalization payments so that the provinces have to start selling their resources and bolster the resource industry. What is this, 1890? I mean, the U.S. is stuck in an imaginary 1950s. Canada is still stuck in the 19th century with that kind of attitude, right? That rather than say the reality of he doesn't care about or he doesn't know about is that the Crow Act, which I was taught about, that was a big issue in my day. I graduated in high school in 72. The Crow Act deliberately prevented the development of manufacturing industries in Western Canada so that it would protect the Ontario and Quebec economies, so that they would become the manufacturing core of the country, which is why they have the larger population. Had Alberta and BC, with their huge resources, been allowed to develop heavy industry, or, as W.A.C. Bennett had intended, which the NDP didn't live up to when the Columbia River downstream benefits came up in the late 90s, and they didn't They sold them downstream rather than use the power to develop technological industries in British Columbia, which we're also faced with right now, with digging our heels in on the fossil fuel industry when we have so many alternative things we could be doing here, investing in. There's so much we could be doing. Anyway, so Confederation is a farce. For them to say, for a New Brunswicker, right, who lives off the back of Irving and wants fracking in a province where it's already caused civil violence with the native population, the Mi'kmaq, a place I cannot remember how to pronounce. And there'll be more. He's doing this for the fossil fuel industry the same way both Horgan and Wilkinson here are slaves to the fossil fuel industry. And why the British Columbia referendum got skewered. So, like I say, I wasn't surprised. But I was out there trying to tweak it. I thought maybe if I could just get that one extra vote. But it won by 10%. It won 60%. Holy shit. But it was only 25% of the electorate. No, of the voters list. It was only 25% of the voters list. So what about all those other people that are working two jobs or struggling to get their kids around and feed their kids and don't have time to call and say, wait on the phone tree, we'll get back to you. Okay, well, what's your address? We'll slowly get it all done in the course of a busy day while they're trying to survive. The situation for the poor and the working class in British Columbia is very much like what it was in France. And what do we hear from the middle class population? Oh, they could have gone to BC Services BC. No, you know what? The same element in France that would have said that are well off enough to say that here and be snide about, not snide or just not give a shit if the minorities don't vote and if the poor don't vote and if the natives won't vote. They don't care. That's good. Oh, they really liked it that the 5-6% of British Columbia that are native mostly didn't vote. Oh, yeah, the business parties love that one. The Union Party, it loves that one. They've never been on their side. If the NDP were ever serious about land claims, they would have settled it long ago. Same with the Liberals, federal and provincial. Well, the federal or provincial are a joke anyway, but the Liberals promise and promise and promise and do nothing. Right? So there's more political schism in British Columbia than people are aware. And it's because our media is controlled and muzzled. To listen to CBC is painful. I've stopped listening to it rather than to catch the news and still wince, the way they report things. The spin that this has been given, that this was a legitimate referendum, and that there's, clearly the people of British Columbia don't want PR. Oh, no, that's a complete lie. I know, because I've talked to more people on the street than any reporter ever has. They say, well, you didn't do it with a microphone. Well, I'm going to start doing it now. But I'm not going to do it with people. I'm just going to tell you the history. I got to get busy with learning how to do rapid. I got to get a faster computer. I get one maybe with what just happened. Got a little Santa Claus present. I got to go make some decisions. Is it a phone? Is it a pad? Is it a new computer? What am I going to get? But my computer is trash, but I don't know. Maybe someone's giving me something. I don't know. I'm not speaking of family, just people that know I need things. So, anyway, it's Holy Yule. I've had a nice little rant here, haven't I? So I'm the UnProfessor, Michael One-Eye, wannabe wanderer, wanna be flying again, even though I'm disabled. I know it's possible. I know that my mind is worth something. I know that my talent and my gift, my music's been given to me. I know I need to give it, right? And I need to go to places where it will call the greatest out of me. I need to go sit on the great altar at Delphi again. I need to go play for the goddess at Ephesus. I need to go to Egypt. I need to go to Iran. Places in Afghanistan I'd love to go to. Not like it is now. So I don't know how much I can do to travel the world with the means of putting the wings on the vloggery, in the vlog world. I hope so. Hopefully people who listen to me all the way through here maybe and go like, okay, Mike, all right, let's see what we can do, right? Because British Columbia is just not the place for a guy like me. It's too painful to be here also. I love my country. I hate my... Oh, I almost said it. I shouldn't say shit like that anymore, right? Because I want friends rather than enemies. So British Columbia has big issues. I try and explain it to them. They don't care. They don't understand. But I'd rather be somewhere vibrant and alive. And right now, France. France is where I want to be. So I hope my friend, and I got to get WhatsApp happening on the new device. And I, I have a French guy, French friend from Kosamui that owns houses all over, and say, get out, Anyway, so yeah, there's things I know. But the thing about it, you have to reach out beyond where you are, outside the box, as a friend of mine said, and not let your disability stop you. And my OT, or occupational therapist, this morning while he was testing the thing, he said that's a good attitude, right? And I'm an improbable person with an improbable career that has to be built, and I have to do it. So I need help to do it, folks. So this is my last moment, closing this off. Last minute pitch for a Patreon support. Tell me if you think I should be doing Patreon. And if you'll help me do it, somebody that'll help me set it up, or how to do it the best way. And length of videos, this is probably way too long now, half an hour, it's got to be at least. So I better shut it off. The UnProfessor, Michael One Eye, the Western Oracle, I don't know if I'll use that or not, but that's the name of a Facebook page I have. There's other thoughts I've had on names. Truth Sayer. Michael One Eye, Truth Sayer, signing off. Formerly the Skookum One and Street Professor. Good morning on Holy Yuletide. Good afternoon. I think I'll make some pancakes now. Have a good day.